Happy Monday to you. Hello and welcome to another commercial real estate tactical broker trading with the eXp Mastery team. My name is Brett Swarts. We believe most brokers, residential or commercial, they struggle with clarifying role plays, proposals, negotiations, capital gains, tax deferral, exit plans, not using a 1031 exchange, ways to unlock value for their clients, for themselves and for their partners, as it pertains to buying and selling commercial real estate assets. And we're really focused on helping you right now. We're going to dive in. And those who are listening to us live on YouTube, thank you for listening, and on Facebook as well. I'm joined by some amazing people that are a part of the eXp Mastery team. First one being Brent Silverbauer. Brent, how are you doing, brother?
Doing great. Good to be here.
Brent is a digital marketing expert. Analytics, YouTube, videos, multifamily expert. He's amazing at what he does. Originally from Aptos, California. He works in all of Northern California. He's a pro. We also have Pierce York. Pierce York is out of Newport Beach. He's a commercial broker and a luxury agent there with the eXp Master team. Pierce, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. Doing real well.
He's also the rising star of the Deferred Sales Trust and understanding that. He co-hosts the podcast as well. So he's got a lot of knowledge. And then we have Lindsay Porter, who is a residential expert in Chico, California. She's a rock star and she's a part of the eXp Master team. Lindsay, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much. You look like you might be in the witness protection program because it's so dark over there. So if you happen to have a light, that would be cool to see you, but no worries if not. All right. So let's dive right in. We're going to be talking about today. Actually, we're going to review a little bit and then we're going to dive into what you guys want to cover today. Okay. So remember we covered the purpose of the cold call. So Lindsay, do you remember what the purpose of the cold call is?
Sorry, I turned some more lights on.
There you go. Yeah, look better.
To see if they have a problem that you can find a solution for and to get the in-person meeting.
Close. You covered two there. So the purpose of the cold call is just to set a meeting. Okay. So where we get a little bit caught up is we try to compress meetings or compress the sales cycle or the relationship cycle and all into one. And that's a very important distinction, right? If I'm trying to determine whether or not it's worth meeting them, I'm probably already in my head deciding whether or not this is a deal or not, which is not the purpose of the call. The purpose of the call is to get the meeting. Now, once I'm on the meeting, I want to determine if their problem is big enough to warrant a proposal. Okay. Because if we're just having the meeting or determining if there's a big problem over the phone, right, on a call, and if it's worth our time and our energy, right, is kind of the default sometimes. What happens, Brent? What zone do we get caught into? You're on mute, so I can't hear you.
Yes, I'm a total expert at this. Just kidding. We get in the friend zone. So you don't want to be in the friend zone. It's just like you're a happy neighborhood guy, take all the information from you and never use you to broker a deal.
Right. In fact, you're not doing a service to the client if you're providing too much, too quick, all over the phone and trying to do everything so fast, right? We've got to slow down. We got to go at their pace. And we really got to be like a doctor. What would a doctor do? If a doctor hears a phone call, though they do some Zoom things now, but even then you're going to set up a specific time to meet. And it could be ideally in person. That's the most important, but it could also be Zoom. But it's a set amount of time where really what we're asking for is their attention and their focus to clarify and uncover their challenges and their motivations, right? People have challenges and they have motivations. They have pain and they have desire, right? And our goal and our role as an expert in commercial real estate, as an expert in real estate, as a real estate professional, is to find out what their pain with their real estate is and what their desire is with their wealth plan or their real estate exit plan or whatever it might be that they would like to talk about for their challenges, whether it be for leasing out their units, whether it be converting into an Airbnb, whether it be doing a 1031 exchange, whether it be retirement, whatever that is. But guess what? If I'm trying to have it over the first phone call, you're not actually servicing them very well, though it might feel good to you. But honestly, it's not great. You wouldn't want a doctor to diagnose and do everything over the phone all in one call. They would say, no, set a specific time, come sit down, and let's do a detailed analysis and overview and back up, not even an analysis yet, just an overview as we sit down. So Brent, I'm going to sit down now. I'm going to be in the proposal. I'm going to be in the meeting. I'm sorry. I'm in the first meeting. This is not the proposal meeting, right? What is the purpose of the first meeting?
Purpose of the first meeting is to build rapport. Probably number one. 80% of the time you're asking questions. How'd you get into real estate? Listening to their story. Tell me about your journey. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Blah, blah, blah. And number two, to uncover if it makes sense, if they have problems that you have solutions to, if you can help them to sell their property, if you can provide solutions to their problems, then warrant if there's a second meeting, that you
so think of yourself. You went to the doctor's office, right? And Lindsay, what happens? Okay. They're going to ask you specific questions. How are you feeling? How long has that been going on for? What are you trying to accomplish? Like, you're just asking a lot of questions and you're using three things. What are the three things you're going to use, Lindsay? It sounds like, it
Feels like,
and
seems like.
And it seems like, right? It sounds like, it seems like, it feels like. And Lindsay, why are you doing that?
You're kind of mirroring them and making sure they know that you understand what they're saying and kind of repeating it back to them.
Yeah. So mirroring is part of it, where you might be repeating the last three words, kind of repeating back to them what they just said. That is the mirror. Brent, what is the purpose of the mirror?
Purpose of the mirror is to gather more information without feeling like you're interrogating them.
Boom, you nailed it, right? So Pierce, what's the purpose of a mirror?
Gather more information so you feel like you're not interrogating.
Good, Pierce. And so perfect. You just mirrored basically what it was, which is good. So yeah, we're naturally, we want to talk about ourselves, especially in sales or as a person. We want our opinion to be out there. We want to know them how we feel. And we feel like, but honestly, it's not serving the client. So when you mirror, it helps you to slow down your thoughts and your opinions and all of your things to solve what you believe you're going to solve all of their problems. By mirroring what they just said, you have a chance to open up more of the conversation, more of what's behind that. And sometimes you're just helping the client to go a little bit deeper and uncover their true desires and motivations. Okay. Also, like Lindsay said, it's letting them know, and that's actually more of the label than it is the mirror, right? The label is where you're summarizing the emotion behind what they are feeling or thinking. Okay, so let's do the difference between a mirror. This is really important, a mirror and a label, okay? So Brent, ready to role play? Brent might be on frozen. Lindsay, ready to role play? Okay, Lindsay. So we're sitting down for the meeting. Hey, Lindsay.
Yes, if my internet works.
Well, you're out right now. Lindsay's in.
You're out
because your internet was delayed. All right, Lindsay, we're sitting down for the meeting. We're going through some of the challenges, and I say something along the lines of, I'd really like to sell, Lindsay, but I don't have that 1031 exchange lined up. How would you mirror that?
So it sounds like you...
Pause. You're labeling right now. How would you mirror that, Brent? Go, Brent.
You don't have your 1031 exchange lined up?
Perfect. You see how he said that? It was out of curiosity, and it was saying, it was mirroring a few of the last few words. You don't have your 1031 exchange lined up? Because guess what, Lindsay? Brent, I don't know what that means yet. I think I know what that means. So ready, Lindsay? I'd like to sell, but I don't have that 1031 exchange lined up.
You don't have your 1031 exchange lined up yet?
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't have it lined up yet. In fact, last time I went through this whole process, it was a nightmare. Like, the broker said that he could find me a deal. He's going to find me a deal and don't worry about it. And then we sold, and then we're running around with their chicken with their heads cut off, and I'm making offers and I'm not getting accepted. And it's just an absolute disaster.
Sounds like that was really frustrating for you.
Boom. That's a great label. It was super frustrating, Pierce. Now let's back up real fast. Had you not mirrored that and perhaps said something like this, Lindsay? Well, I've got a solution for that, because all we have to do is just make sure that we have an extra built-in option period for 45 days. and we've got to just do this and this and this. You know what the seller is going to think? This person's not listening to me. He's just trying to sell me something. But when you mirrored that, and you, out of curiosity, people love to share more of their story. So we want to invite them in to share more of their story. So Lindsay, did you ever have that guy, let's go high school, right? Who you were dating, and all he ever wanted to do was talk about himself? Did you ever have that?
No.
That's good. You stayed away from those. Did you have those girlfriends who had those guys that they dated that all they wanted was talk about themselves? Right. So it becomes pretty, let's just say, not appealing, right? When the person is not actually listening and trying to uncover needs and desires, and they're only ever talking about themselves. So the mirror, Brent, is going to what? It's going to open up them to tell more of their story or the reason behind that. Okay. So now let's move into the label. So Pierce, you did a good job. He said, that sounds like that was pretty frustrating. So Brent, what is the purpose of the label?
Purpose of the label is to make them feel understood. You want them to say, that's right. So when they say that's right, it sounds like that was really frustrating. Yeah, it was super frustrating. At that point, they feel like you heard them, you understand them, and you're getting to know them. And when they make a decision, it's know, like, and trust. And you are building those things in that moment.
Nailed it. So Pierce, what is the purpose of a label?
The purpose of a label is to, if I'm not going to mirror everything, but the purpose of the label is to, well, if you read the book, it's to build tactical empathy. It's to help them. It's to help them understand that you understand their emotions, right? You understand their perspective, and so it makes them feel heard, but it also makes them feel like they're understood. And it also allows them to elaborate even further, because you can mislabel something and you can do it tactically on purpose. So, it gives them to draw out more information as well.
Yeah. And by the way, and that's a good thing, because we're drawing out more information so that what? A good doctor is going to draw out more information. I mean, I remember sitting down for my ACL surgeries right before I had them, and they'd ask me certain questions and they did certain tests. And they were saying, like, when did it happen? When it happened, did you hear a pop? Right? This is my knee, this is my whole basketball, just signed a scholarship 2 weeks later, everything just, I'm like, yeah, I heard all kinds of stuff, right? I was in the worst pain I've ever been in. I think I heard a pop, and then he said, it's something else. He said, did you feel a pop? I was like, huh. Yeah, I actually felt a pop, and I heard a pop. And he's like, it's probably your ACL. In fact, at that point, he still wasn't sure if it was my ACL that was completely ruptured. He did a little test, it's hand test, but it wasn't until I did an MRI that we revealed that it was completely ruptured. He also took my knee and he bent it sideways, and I felt like he was going to rip my knee off because my MCL was torn, right? So he's asking questions, he's asking follow-up questions, and he's drawing more information out of me. So to determine whether or not a proposal in this scenario, to determine if an MRI was warranted, right? Okay. So that's the whole purpose of the first listing appointment. It's not only build rapport, but ask quick questions. But really, you don't have to ask maybe one, maybe two questions. You actually just have to mirror and label. And naturally, they're going to share with you what's happening in their world, what's happening in the business, what's happening in their real estate, what's happening with what they want to be doing. And as you do that, you can start to uncover the information to determine what, Brent, if a
proposal is warranted.
Excellent. And as you've gathered up 1, 2, and 3 of the pain points and the pleasure points, what's the kind of the transition question to move from friend zone and the friendly commercial broker who's sitting here with you, helping you and uncovering and listening and empathy and all of these things? What's that kind of like potential, that shift? What's that question you're going to ask to see if this is actually something that's going to be worth your time and your energy?
It's one of my favorite questions to ask. Assuming we can agree on price and terms, is there any reason that you wouldn't exclusively use me to list the property?
Yeah, it's a good question, Brent. Let me think about that. What do you charge? What's your commission?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to put together a whole entire proposal for you, and we'll go over all the things that I'm going to do, the cost, the commission, what we feel like evaluation, underwriting the property, all that at our next meeting. Would you be okay to meet next Thursday at 3:00 or 1:30 p.m.?
Yep, and that's a good. So I want you to see that. And he did that really fast, and not that there won't be times which you might say something, but the purpose of that question. Let's break down that question. Lindsay, you ready to break down that question? So what's that question called? It's called the conditional close. Okay, Lindsay, right? Conditional close. So can you give me a conditional close?
I'm sorry, I had to hop off, so I missed.
Pierce, can you give me the conditional close?
Assuming we can agree on terms and price would be your condition, right? Is there any reason why you wouldn't use me as your listing agent?
That's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming we can agree on price and terms, Mr. Seller. And by the way, I've heard 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've heard you're paying with the 1031 exchange. I've heard you're paying with the broker overpromising and under-delivering on identifying a property. I've heard you're paying with the toilets, trash, and liability. I've heard your pleasure of increasing your cash flow. I've heard your pleasure of maybe retiring. And assuming, so you're basically summarizing what would just happened, right? Assuming we can agree on price and terms, and I like to put together a proposal, by the way. I like to put together a detailed proposal to address 1, 2, and 3 of your pain points and 1, 2, and 3 of your desires. Assuming we can agree on price and terms to your satisfaction, you might even add this part of it to it. Is there any reason why you wouldn't allow me to exclusively represent you to sell your property and help you achieve what you're trying to achieve? And then you're going to practice what's called dynamic silence. You're just going to be quiet. Might take 3, 5, 10 seconds.
Awkward seconds. Let it be awkward.
Let it sink in, right? You just put a lot on the plate. You just put their desire, some of their desires, some of their pain points. Wow. I just felt heard and understood for 30 minutes here. Let's just say you're 30 minutes into the meeting. This is where it's going to move from friend zone to potentially you're about to get engaged, right? From, hey, I just did an MRI and you need knee surgery. We're going to have to cut you open and replace your ACL. Like it's starting to get serious, right? At least potentially getting serious. But we don't know for sure until we do the proposal. So Brent, we're going to say this and they're going to say fee. They're going to say, I've got another broker. They're going to say maybe, I have, a big prepayment penalty, whatever the things are, right? And then Brent, when they start stacking up those objections, you handled it pretty good, right? How much you respond when I stack up some objections?
So what are your objections?
So, I just want to make sure I have this 1031 lined up. I don't want to get burned. I don't want to just list something and sell it and all of a sudden have to be running around chasing a deal within 45 days, Brent. Like that really concerns me.
Okay. So assuming that we could handle.
Hold on. Mirror. Hold on. Mirror.
Oh, mirror. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, 1031 exchange down leg. What
concerns you? And by the way, you might have already mirrored this out a bit before, right? You may have already labeled this because it was previous in the thing and say, I heard you. Yeah, it sounds like this is frustrating and you don't want to be caught in a tough spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds
and my
like
proposal, go ahead. So what would you say from that point on?
Oh, okay. So after I already mirrored, after I already labeled, sounds like you're really concerned about this 1031 exchange up leg. Yeah. Okay. Well, assuming that I could present a proposal that handles the up leg issue.
To your satisfaction.
To your satisfaction, and we can agree on price and terms to your satisfaction. Is there any other reason why you wouldn't exclusively use me to list the property?
Oh, well, what's your commission? Like maybe the fee? Like, I mean, I want to make sure this is a fair deal, Brent.
My commission?
Yes. Yeah. Your commission, like what you get charged to do. To do this.
Yeah.
Is it like 6%, 5%, or?
Yeah. Total fair question. I like to reserve that. I'm going to present a proposal for you. It's going to have the commission, what I do, all the different things that we're going to do for this property within that. I mean, that's a whole other conversation that I feel like I have to present in order to get to that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So assuming you can agree on price and terms and to your satisfaction.
So Brett, assuming that we could handle the down leg, or is it the up leg?
Up leg, yeah.
Up leg, excuse me. Assuming that we could handle the up leg to your satisfaction, and I can present a proposal in which the fees are justified in your mind to satisfy you, is there any other reason why you wouldn't use me to exclusively list the property?
No, I think those are the only two.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, great. So let's see. My schedule here, I'm available next Wednesday, 10 a.m. or in the afternoon at 2 p.m. What works better for you?
Perfect. Sounds good. So now you're going to close for the next meeting, right? And then you're going to go build some more rapport. Okay. And then you're going to go do the proposal, and the proposal is going to address those things, right? And you're going to have your game plan, and you're going to present your offer at that point. And this is the cost of my services. Okay. So, but if you don't get step one, which is the cold call, the reason for the cold call is to set the meeting. If you don't get step two, which is the first listing appointment, which is to uncover needs and desires and motivations, right? And if you don't do the conditional close, and it doesn't really matter about step four, right? You've got to go in these orders. And when we get off of these orders, when we deviate, we're not doing the client a good service, and we're probably not listening very well, and we're probably missing things. And part of what Chris Voss talks about is the black swans. And black swans are the things that you didn't think were the reasons that someone might sell, or even the value that you were bringing. But until you slow down and help them work through these things, are you going to uncover these black swans? Okay. And so that's so important. So Pierce, we're going to do the conditional close, and then we're going to do the objections. You ready?
Ready.
All right. So Pierce, value, or I'd be the seller. So you say assume you can agree on price and terms. Is there any other reason why you wouldn't list the property with me? Go ahead, go.
Yeah, Brett. So assuming we can agree on price, terms, and commission, is there any reason why you wouldn't exclusively let me list the property?
I've got this nephew. He's an agent. He's a newer agent, but
Lord.
Yeah, he's got, I kind of told him that if I ever sold that I would use him.
You told him if you ever sold, you use him?
Yeah, he's my nephew. He's helped out around the property. He got his license, and I told him, I don't know, I'm not sure what to do there. How I could list with you and sell it and not hurt his feelings.
It sounds like there's some hesitation with using him.
There definitely is. I mean, he's brand new. The guy's never sold a property before.
Never sold a property?
Yeah. I know, the more I think about it, the more it's just challenging. But I'm just telling you, I'm just trying to be honest. Like, these are the main things that I'm concerned about, like how to make him feel, not hurt, and because he has helped me with the property. Like, he would come in there and like help me turn the units and stuff and like do really nice stuff.
It would help you turn the units?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we were like hammering nails and putting up drywall and gutting the unit and putting countertops in and cabinets and all this cool stuff. Like, went to Home Depot with me a couple times, and it's a lot. He did a lot of work.
It sounds like he's got a lot of experience with contracting work, but not a lot of experience in selling properties.
Exactly. That's right.
What brokerage is he with?
I don't even know if he's even a part of a brokerage. I don't know.
Interesting. Well, Brett, that's something that you're definitely going to want to, consider. Do you want to let your nephew out of obligation, list the property? And he might do an amazing job. He sounds like he's an amazing guy. And so, at this point, it might be worth it for you to just let him take a complete chance on your property and list it. The other option is you could sit down with us. We can come back to you with a proposal, and we could show you all the things that we're going to do, how we're going to help you sell a property, and so on and so forth, and all the value that we can bring to you. Would you be totally against the idea of having a second meeting?
No, I wouldn't. That sounds fine.
Great.
Give Pierce a round of applause. That was good. That was really good. You did a good job, Pierce. So now one other thing I would say is, go ahead, Brent. Go ahead.
Sometimes when there's a hesitation like that, like for instance, we had that multifamily, presentation that we did, and I asked them, does that concern you? Just like hitting on their fears a little bit, like in that situation, he's never sold property. Does that concern you at all? Because I don't know. In that situation, I feel like there's a possibility. Like if there's no concern, he's feeling good. I feel like it's like, I don't know, man. It might be, it could be a waste of time. But if you're like, yes, it does concern me, and like drilling down into that concern, and then like, I don't know. I think
that's good, Brent. Yeah, what Brent's saying is, when I said he's never sold anything, then you might say, does that concern you, right? Does that concern you?
Yeah.
Is it unreasonable to think that might be concerning to you? Might be a better way to say it. Instead of, does that concern you, and you get a yes, you might say, is it unreasonable to think that should or could be concerning to you? No, it's not unreasonable to think that it should be concerning to me, right? So I think that's good. The other thing too is we could figure out a way to work them into the deal. So, hey, I assume we could agree on pricing terms and commission fees and figure out a great way to work them into the deal. And maybe I can even help mentor the guy, and help him out a little bit and have him maybe kind of like a part of the deal. And, and I can come back with a proposal to show you that. Is there any other reason why you wouldn't allow me to exclusively list the property?
That was my initial thought, was how could I work him into the deal? But I was
don't propose it though. Don't put it on the table. Just say if the way to, and I can bring it back in my proposal. Is there any other reason to your satisfaction where you feel like you maintain the relationship? Now I'm speaking to the actual thing, because as you did a good job of mirroring and labeling it out, I said the things. I said, yeah, I don't want to hurt his feelings. Right. Keep going, Pierce. You had another thought there?
No, that was it. I mean, it was good to not propose it, but like plant the seed.
Yeah. Plant the seed. That my proposal, when I come back, if I could show you how, because here's the reality too. Even if you have the answer in your mind of how it's perfectly going to work out, I still need to prepare, put the offer together, the offer being the proposal, and then be able to present it clearly and articulately. And then you might even, that's the biggest thing. The proposal is not just to be able to show some fancy picture on a screen and say, or on a thing, say, hey, I sold this property for 7.9 million and I helped him defer all this tax. Like, it's the time and the energy to prepare, like homework, like a presentation. Like, so you're going to go back and you're going to go, okay, well, first of all, what's his name? What brokerage is he with? Right. Like you said, you're going to start to gather all of these details. Where does he live? Right. Oh, he happens to live right in the same town you're selling. Well, maybe he could be the showing agent, or maybe he could be the person who helps do this, or maybe he could do something of value where he feels like he's a part of the transaction and build in a referral fee, right? Like there could be something there, maybe, if it fits within this box, and you come back with a proposal. Now, here's the other thing too. You might come back and present the entire proposal and everything you're going to do, and then say, is there any reason why you didn't list with me? And he says, well, my nephew. Okay, great. How about this is a part of it as well? So that is the second meeting, right? When you're actually presenting for the listing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Makes
questions.
Sense.
Do anyone have?
Okay, I have a great objection.
Yeah.
I just, as we're talking about objections, that nephew one is, it's a killer. Okay, well, the guy, I feel loyalty to the guy who sold me this building. The guy who sold me the building, he's a Marcus and Millichap guy. I feel an obligation. He sends me these email newsletters once a month. And, he's constantly sending me emails, and I just feel an obligation to him.
Yeah, I absolutely appreciate that. It sounds like you're a very loyal, caring person from an agent who brought you the deal, and it seems and it feels like he's treated you well over all the years to help you guide you in this transaction, in this property. You feel a sense of loyalty to him. Am I way off?
No, that's right. Yeah.
Absolutely appreciate that. And assume we can agree on price and terms, and to your satisfaction, find out a way to work with that agent. When I come back and show you on the proposal, and to your satisfaction, where we can all collaborate on the deal and still find a way to give them an opportunity to be paid. Is there any other reason why you wouldn't allow me to exclusively list the property for you?
I'm curious, how are you going to work with them?
It's a great question. There's a number of things that we've done in the past. We give people some opportunities to pre-send it to their select clients that they have. It's kind of like an early look, if you will. It's kind of like doing them a favor, although we still want to get the full marketing out there, and I'll show that to you in our proposal. There's other ways to do that, and I'll show that to you in the full proposal. That's just one idea that we might consider. But assuming I can come back in this proposal to your satisfaction, show you how we can work with them. Is there any other reason why you wouldn't allow me to exclusively list the property?
If you could show that to me, but I'm nervous about it.
Yeah. No, I understand. I would be nervous too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And at the end of the day, they make the decision, right? And the good news is they are bringing it up to you. It's a good thing because they're actually wavering between the two things, and it's not uncommon at all. Now, hopefully, the offer and the value is such that it's greater than that other offer and value. So, okay, what else? What other questions do you have, or gals? Lindsay, what do you think? You catching all this?
Yeah. Just thinking about how I could work it in from a residential angle too. So
same thing, right? I think on this scenario, and by the way, what do you mean by that? By a residential angle?
Well, maybe you don't have as many steps in the residential process. Like you're not initially meeting with them and then doing a proposal. Like there's not as much of that dating time, maybe. But just thinking
dating time.
You're doing it back to me.
I am actually serious here. I'm not just messing with you. What do you mean by that?
Well, just it seems like with these bigger deals that you guys are really having to like work over a longer amount of time on getting that person to know, like, and trust you. And maybe it's because they're selling a much more expensive property than, say, just their house possibly. But I'm just thinking about the objections that we're talking about too, and how I can, be better at tackling those in the future.
So it sounds like
a residential house.
So it sounds like you think commercial perhaps has a longer sales cycle versus residential. And your question is, how do we connect these two in a way that's actually efficient for you?
Possibly. I'm just taking mental notes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
What specific question do you have? And maybe I can try to answer at that point. What specific objection do you have? And maybe let's try it that route versus residential versus commercial.
I don't have a specific question. I haven't done much commercial, so I'm kind of just soaking in what you guys are saying about the process too, of how that works, how you set things up.
So Brandon, go ahead. Go ahead.
Lindsay's also being humble. She did get like a $3 million portfolio. Remember that, Lindsay? So, but I think it's just convinced a little bit with the residential side. But I just lost my first listing because I didn't implement some of this stuff. I didn't find the black swans. I came in there and I literally told them I've never lost a listing presentation, and my value is so good that I'm better than everybody else, blah, blah, blah. And that was the first one that I lost, is when I came in there without the humility and with all this. And then, lo and behold, they went with someone else. So I think this is gold, even for the residential. And maybe it's not multiple meetings, but it is uncovering those black swans, making them feel understood. And then maybe you just say, at the end, you just ask for the sale. Just condense the meetings, together. You already have your proposal, basically. I mean, residential is a little more simple, in my opinion.
Well,
I usually close stuff in one meeting,
And I'd say all the listings that I've had are with people that already know me and like me and trust me. So I'm just kind of trying to learn a little bit, maybe as I go into listing appointments or whatever with people that don't already know, like, and trust me. Yes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think
It's a little different.
The question I think I have is like, how are you prospecting, right? How are you generating leads? Are they all already warm people that, like you said, know, like, and trust you already, that call you up and it's pretty much, real simple to close it because you've already built that rapport, you've already built all that stuff. And I think this is coming at it from a little bit more of a colder angle. I can be off, but it's just kind of how it feels.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And so, because eventually your sphere, right, and even the referrals are going, it's one part of your business, right? Your initial people, then your sphere. I think we went over this in the last call with our eXp call. It was awesome. I forgot her name. She says you want to have like 7, like the average millionaire has 7 different income streams. I think the average broker should have 7 different lead streams. And if it's just your people that and your clients, and then the referrals, that's 2. But then, like Pierce said, is it social media? Is it door-to-door knocking? Is it cold call? And as you're going to tap into these others, you're right. The know, like, and trust factor, Lindsay, is going to take more time and energy. And the higher level of practice of probability brokerage versus possibility, you're hoping to walk in and be able to, if you're trying to have, but this is already provided with these 5, good luck, right? They're making me cough, Brent. I swear, like you pass it to me from the camera.
I'm sorry.
So I would argue, and I would encourage you to follow these steps, regardless if it's residential or commercial, and give it a shot and track your closing ratio, track your uncovering needs and uncovering desires and uncovering the listings, right? Find out. And by the way, that might mean you call someone on a Monday, you meet them on a Tuesday, and you come back on a Wednesday. You don't have to wait an entire week. You're like, hey, I'm going to go spend a few hours tonight. I'm going to come back right tomorrow morning. I'm going to have a whole listing presentation and address this, and this. Assuming we can agree on price and terms, is another reason why you wouldn't want to list the property with me. I'm going to take the time to be thoughtful about this proposal. I'm not just showing up. A lot of agents will just show up. You might even say this. Hey, a lot of agents will just show up with the entire plan right here. But I really look at my role right now in this first meeting, and I can give you a price range of what your property is. I mean, it's pretty much simple with Redfin and a few other things. We can get a range of where it's at. It's pretty simple these days with residential houses. However, I want to be more thoughtful and I want to find out in detail as I'm now touring your house, perhaps for the first time. That's the other part that kind of amazes me sometimes. People give proposals and prices on properties they've never even toured before, right? So if you haven't even been in the house, how are you going to show up with a price, right? So let's tour the property. Let's get to know the good, the bad, the ugly. What do I need to know about? What's the AC unit? What's the roof? What's the siding? Is there any issues with any leaks? What's the appliances like? Like, let me do kind of a checklist here, as well as see if we can agree on price and terms. So we come back tomorrow morning with a full proposal, how I'm going to market, list, and sell your property for the highest price and the best terms. Is there any reason why you wouldn't exclusively list the property for me? And you go back, and then you do the proposal and you show up the next day and you close it, right? That would be my thought. So don't necessarily think you have to wait a week or 2 or months, right? Strike when the iron's hot. You might also ask them the question too, on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about selling your property in the next 30 days? I'm a 2, Lindsay. Okay. A 2. What makes you a 2? How would you get to a 10? You might go through some of those things to see their sense of urgency. And if their urgency is not to list the property right now, then guess what? Perhaps you don't do the proposal for a month or 2. If their urgency is 9, okay, great. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Any questions on that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Because they may not be serious. And if they're not that serious, then why do the proposal, right? If they're not willing to commit to something soon, then it's probably not worth your time to do that proposal. And that's okay. Sometimes that's okay if they're not ready to do that. That would be my thought. Pierce, any other thoughts on that?
No, I think that's, mainly for the new cold streams, the ones that you have right now. I think a lot of the stuff that we're talking about as far as like how to communicate with people is crossover in all aspects of life, not just, I use it on my wife all the time, and it's just, the more that someone knows and likes and trusts you, the more they'll divulge, and it's just a way to just get them to continue to talking without thinking and feel like, they're being interrogated, or, it feels like you understand them and all this kind of stuff. Right. So the principles that we're going over, right, the label, the mirror, the conditional closes, these are things that you can use throughout your entire, and how you just interact with people in general. Right. So taking that and applying it to your business is just going to help enhance, pull out stuff, because, you might have for example, you might have a client who all of a sudden, right, you do some more mirroring and labeling and you find out, holy crap, they have a commercial property in Alabama, right? Now it's like, oh, hey, I can help you with that too, right? And they're not even thinking about telling you that because it just has nothing to do with this property in Chico. So, there's more extracting of information, right? They might be like, yeah, I really want to sell this property in Alabama, but the tax is just way too much. Now you have like a whole thing to kind of dive into a little bit more, and it just gives you more ability. Hey, if I could help you solve that problem, right, as well, like, would you be interested in, or would you be against letting me build this one, kind of thing. So I just think that there's good reasons to just use these principles throughout every single communication that you have.
Don't rush the relationship, right? And they, unless they're really running to get married right now, Lindsay, right? If you walk in as a friend, you're like, hey, I'm just getting to know you to see if I want to work with you. I'm just getting to know you to see if there's certain problems I can solve. And if they're like, I'm ready to list right now. Okay, slow down, right? I understand that. Like, they're going to really respect that. I want to A, see your property, B, go through this in detail, and C, come back with a detailed proposal of how we're going to do this game plan here. Great, go, right? But I would actually err on the side that a lot of people you might be meeting with, I don't know, you tell me, they're really apprehensive, they're concerned, they're cautious, and it's going to be hard to present all at once, all one day, all in 1 hour to solve all of those problems. I think you'd get more referrals, you'd have a higher level of service, and like Pierce said, you're uncover black swans if you follow this process. And you don't think of it from a residential commercial standpoint, just strictly as a human relation problem solving standpoint.
Is there a specific book that this comes from?
Yes. So there's two. Well, it's called Chris Foss, Never Split the Difference. Okay. So
I actually just ordered that one. I haven't started it yet though.
Perfect. Yeah, it's incredible. And then he also has a master class, and I was listening to it this morning, and it's called Masterclass. Masterclass is the app. You pay like $170, and the class is called Tactical Empathy or something like that.
He's got a new book coming out. It's called The Full Fee Agent.
Yeah, I think it already came out. This is the class. It's called Chris Foss Teaches the Art of Negotiation. So yeah, I would definitely check that out. By the way, if anyone's listening to this right now and you want to learn more and connect with us and maybe even join our eXp Mastery team, we've got team members across the country, commercial and residential. You can check us out, expmastery.com. We'd love the opportunity to talk with you. We'll be at some live events in Orlando, Florida coming up in May. We do Vegas in October. March is Cabo, San Lucas, which is pretty cool as well. That being said, Pierce, Lindsay, any last things before we let everybody go?
No, I'm good.
Nope. Good information. Thank you.
All right. Have a great week. Get some cold calls in, create some content, get some follow-ups, right? Your top 10 list, work through and help some people go be a problem solver. Okay. Thanks everybody. Talk soon.
Yep.